Hey everybody, welcome back. We're doing another Marvel Future Revolution video. We're going to take a quick look at the stream that they did last night. Chilling with Danny, kind of a roadmap in the first half of 2022. I'll try to do the abbreviated version, just hit some quick pieces of it, and also give you opinions as I go. And then I'll give you kind of an overarching view as well. New to the channel, check out the Discord link in the description below. Hammer down like buttons, click the notification bells, all that kind of thing. And let's check it out.
Bring me WolverThor!
Okay, so if you missed this, we had a Chillin' with Danny stream last night where he met with Alice. I don't know if I actually caught what her official role was, but she was clearly knowledgeable about what was going on with the game and some approaches from things about overarching like concepts and some specific ability terms. So Alice is definitely in the know, I'll call it. I don't know, exactly where she's at a position. If you know what her position is, let me know. Also, I should mention we're gonna do a gold giveaway in this video. So by the end of it, I'll tell you how to do it in the description or what to do, and you can make a comment or something. I'll tell you what to say. But we're gonna be doing like 5 to 10 of them. So everybody do it, and we'll do like 10 random polls on it to make sure that we get some gold out there, right? So stick around to the end to check that out. So first, before I go into this, if you're, wondering where things are at, it starts with a point that I was really happy with. Is a lot of people ask me and ask anybody clearly, because Danny mentions this, is where's the game at? What's happening? They're worried, etc. Danny directly addresses that. Basically, first thing, what he says is essentially, they're not going anywhere.
Where are we heading? Is this game still alive? Are the players still playing? Yes, on all count. We have a lot of exciting, so let's talk about the future. Don't worry, we are here to stay.
So I liked hearing that part of it. Obviously, they're not going to come out and say, no, we're shutting it down in a month or 2 months or whatever. But, Marvel is a good brand. They tend to, if they're going to try to do something, they push it just from the core of where they were founded, kind of trying to, they almost sold all of their assets or did sell them, and then they went through Iron Man, and now they're this behemoth that they are. So we'll see how the game shakes out, but I was happy that he immediately addressed that. Okay, so then a little bit in there, they also had just a snapshot of the roadmap. This was already in a blog. They talk about this briefly, but they go through all the specifics later. So I'm not going to focus on this too much other than hierarchy. And the Pegasus thing seems interesting to me. And honestly, this is my opinion over a lot of this stuff. Let me say that, is that right now, I still think the foundation and the pieces to this game are there to be a successful game. Danny addresses one thing later that I'll get to that I'll point out that I'm a little confused about, and he seems that he's asking a question related to that. I liked that they are doing some epic invasion changes as well. I think that they need some PvE type content that's exciting. There's another thing with the Alliance Raid or whatever they're going to call it. Come with that, and they sort of tease a new playable character, which we'll kind of get into as well. And then obviously they talk about magic, transmute, etc. But high level, I still like the game. I don't like the rewards. I don't know what direction they're going with certain things as far as MMORPG style stuff, single player versus squad battle, and how I'm actually going to be able to make a squad that big. But what I do like that I've not seen in some other games that I've played is they are clearly trying to address balancing and issues. The communication is not perfect. It's far from it, but I do like when I see stuff like that. So I do want to say that. So let's keep going on this and see what else they kind of go through point by point. So the big part of this I mentioned was hero balancing. Doctor Strange, Captain America, they address both of them. So I've got some notes here because I'm not sure that I want to, there were so many clips on this that I would more recommend, if you want to see a lot of the specifics, to go in and check it out. Maybe I'll do it. I'll see how I feel here. But the long and short of Captain America, who was the first one they went through, is they wanted to make him more survivable and that he was stable. They talked about his spearhead ability and the iframe. His unyielding wheel is now, when that provoke happens, it's now going to be silenced. And then they've got the specialization tactics where they rework some stuff as well, where if you get lethal damage, he's basically going to become invincible for a bit. So it's like 3 seconds. It's not like a second life, but it's sort of like, I'm not going to go down right now. I'm going to fight a bit, so I'm not done yet. So it's a little bit interesting. And then they also mentioned his ultimate, which the radius is going to get bigger. And it also mentioned that people are going to have to sort of run towards him. They're not going to be able to get out of this to be able to fight him. And there might even be a silence on that as well. We'll see. And they also had a shield block percentage that was going to go up in the specializations as well. I know we've got some notes from some of this stuff that's coming in as well. And depending on, how we kind of get things here, maybe I'll go over that, but I want to cover just kind of what they said specifically here first. This is the spearhead part. This is the ability that they were, looking at, talking about the iframe lasting the whole time. So if you're curious which one that is, that's that one. This is the part where they talk about unyielding will. I want to let you listen to this.
Effect to his skill, unyielding will, which is when enemies are hit with the skill, they will be silenced, meaning they're disabled. So they are not allowed to use any skills. So you're just kind of, become useless.
So you can see the video playing behind me where, he's silencing them. So this before, you could kind of dodge out of, or you could use abilities. Now you couldn't really run around, but so now they're limiting that even more. I think this is going to be a pretty impressive change. And I will say that not having a Captain America in some sort of Alliance Omega War, forget about it. You go against somebody who does, I'm guessing you're going to lose. So this is the part where they talk about the specialization rework where, once he takes lethal damage, he basically becomes invincible. I'll just let this video play so you can kind of see it. So see right here, it says unyielding will, and then he becomes blue and he just keeps going. He provokes obviously as well.
That one's fine.
And then does his ultimate. That was just happened to be a nice wombo combo where he had that available, or maybe it wasn't his ultimate, but so that's what you're going to have on it. So he's going to be able to be fighting at that last second, which honestly I kind of like. I think it's pretty sweet. This was the ability where I think they were talking about making basically more blocking percentage that he was going to have. It sounds cool. We'll see how it is implemented in game. And honestly, with a lot of these things, that's sort of where I land with it, is how is it going to be in game? One of the things I was a little confused about exactly how this block will work. Alice talks about this some. I'm still a little confused, so I'll have to read some notes and see how this works. But she talks about it being the blocking basically calculating after damage received. So I'm a little confused on, so as you get a bunch of damage then start blocking a lot? Well, how does that work? And if it's a limited time, meaning for the next 3 seconds, he blocks a bunch, to me, that might not be all that exciting because people, if it becomes an OP ability or an ability that is critical in a fight, you just throw a bunch of damage, wait 3 seconds, then do a bunch of damage again because he's going to block it if you throw it at him anyway. Then they had a bunch of video here where it was just showing him do his ultimate. Again, like I mentioned, they had an increase on the radius, but in Dimension Duel, that's not really a good indicator of it. I'd rather see it in an Alliance War type setting or an Omega War type setting to see, this is what it was before, this is what it is now. And, they talked about the fact that it's going to force people to sort of run towards them. So maybe we can see if we can see that on screen here. So this is the one that I can find where somebody's a little further away. You can see Iron Man sort of doing his missiles, his guided missiles, aka missile hugs. So, he's a little far away. Let's see if he actually moves closer to him. It moves closer to Cap.
You are forced to run to Captain America and have to fight him.
Well,
Yeah,
you see, he was right next to him there too. So, and Iron Man was in the middle of a spin blade. So,
longer control yourself out of this con, which is a super exciting rework.
That was, ultimate. I don't know. It was. I'm not sure. What I saw there was basically in spin blade. It stopped him dead in his tracks in spin blade, I think. All right. So one spin blade.
What's interesting is that in PvP situations.
Let's see that. So there's the missile hugs.
Get hit with your taunt ultimate.
Provokes him, then he did. I think that. Oh, you know what? That might not be spin blade. That might be the other one. So, he only does one. It either stops him dead in his tracks in spin blade, or there's another ability that sort of looks the same. Which, by the way, Netmarble, if you're testing Iron Man without Spin Blade in this, and maybe you're not even focused on what abilities they're testing against, you're just making sure that the provoke works, make sure you have Spin Blade on whatever that rotation is, because that is the Iron Man ability. All right, so we've got a bigger group here. I'm not sure what this is exactly, but you're going to see his ultimate, and you're going to see how far people are. Let's see, all right, so you can see a bunch of people in the background there. This is just PvE content, but let's watch and see how far people actually are brought in on this. I mean, it looks like it doesn't quite get, I don't think it gets this guy in the back here, but it gets, you know, a number of other people, and it looks like they're coming to attack him. And it's also, you know, if you notice on there, watch the damage received decrease too. So this is guard damage decrease, damage received decrease. So, you know, it's a good, I don't know. We'll see how this sort of works out. But they're all definitely, and you can see all of the, I don't know if this is, since it's PvE, if it's just what they're doing naturally anyway, but you see them all sort of converge on them. That's how I expect this thing to sort of work out. Then Alice took some questions because they had some technical difficulties, which it sounded like they had an issue with in general. Somebody asked a question about Monica Rambeau coming to the game, but Alice, you know, basically said that, you know, that there'd be a new character soon. I don't know. She didn't really say, but it sounds like it's definitely in the first half of the year. All right, so then they got to Doctor Strange. Again, high level on this. They wanted him to make his animations faster, and they wanted to adjust some of his specializations. There was also some discussion about the cooldown, and it sounds like what I took away from it was that they're not ready to change the cooldowns on his yet. They want to see how the things that they're implementing now work, and if it's enough. One of the things that Netmarble well, depending, when they nerf it, it seems like it might be too much, but when they buff it, they don't want to do it too much, which I guess that's fine. It definitely can cause people some issues depending what end of the spectrum they're on with that. So Doctor Strange, that's what they wanted. I will say that from the animations that they talk about in here, it seemed like the percentages, they're all like 100 and 130%. So they're making them way faster. I'm not a Strange player, but I talked to a couple of my friends who are Strange players, and the abilities they picked, they said that they'd seem better. Even his ultimate got 135% increase on it. Gateway Summon, 7 Rings of Ragnador, the Book of Ashanti. They had some stuff in there that it seemed like it was the abilities they used. So in that regard, I've got to give them a tip my cap to, you know, Netmarble on that. They're actually putting on abilities that make sense. Now, is it enough? We'll see. And I also like that they put it on the ultimate. So here they go with the speed talk.
Ashanti Assault. The motion speed has been increased by 135%, huge, and 7 Rings of Ragador ring increased by 121%. Gateway Summoning, Gateway Launch skill has been modified, so it has 110% faster casting time, and then the ultimate. I know you guys are excited about this. The ultimate Soul Thunder motion and the speed increased by 135%.
So before we let her talk about what else they did, you can see, you know, what's happening in the background with them, and they do seem faster. I like that even, you know, as it's playing in the ultimate, that it seems like it casts a bit faster, because he does sit there for a little bit too long. So this is a couple things that they changed about the skills themselves. So she just basically says Eldritch Swords, it can be cast anywhere. Astral Projection, the melee damage it actually has a melee damage reduction to it. And then the Astral Projection, the taunt range is increased and unable to avoid. So before you could actually resist that, you can't anymore. That's the long and short of those. I mean, that's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's something that I do like. I think that as I see these are the type of, again, are people going to use these abilities? That's going to be the question. And you know, people are going to tinker around a little bit and see what they can find. I think we're going to see a lot of different strange builds now, which is what you want. You want your character to be flexible and be able to pick different things. I'm going to play Doctor Strange or whomever, as this type of Doctor Strange. So the specializations that they went through here, I'm not going to play the audio on this because there's still some slight confusion, and I'm curious to see how it actually shakes out. But the specialization changes that they did ultimately amounted to any debuffs that Doctor Strange had, or most of them. They needed his opponent to be guard broken, which I personally think is the stupidest dynamic to have in a game, because it is already so hard to guard break somebody, and it lasts for such a short amount of time that matches are so fast that it's borderline impossible to keep a debuff ready for that one moment. And even say it's a slow debuff. It's like, so I'm waiting for this one moment in time to throw down a slow debuff that lasts for 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Like, okay, I'm not going to use that. It's like, because the fights last so fast that you've got to have all your abilities going. You got to have your abilities going. You can't wait and hold something back to go, all right, now I'm ready to use this ability because I have the opportunity. Now, games could be like that if they're built and structured like that. You will not survive any setting, single or group, if you're just sitting there holding things back. Now, I guess in a group setting, you could go hide and then bust something out, but that's not super fun. So anyway, that's what they had a lot for the specialization aspects. They talked about it with dark magic. It pierces through the guard armor and applies the whatever crowd control it has, which I like. When you do it with mystic art skills, there's now something called, it's like a dimensional fracture or something along those lines that they called it, which is and once you get 5 stacks of that, it's going to exile somebody and going to stun them. So depending how that stacks up and how quick it can stack up, if he can throw stuns out there, okay, that again seems really good. And I'm going to double down on the part that I'm going to quadruple down by the end of this thing, is that depending how these work, if Doctor Strange is able to actually become like really quick, be able to lock people down, I'm actually okay with them not putting in or adjusting the cooldowns yet, because if they did and he became too OP, I could see that being a problem. So I appreciate the kind of thing that they're approaching there. The next one that they've got on here that will come up is White Magic Ether. And you can see this, and this is just them. Which, by the way, this a lot of people got all excited about this. They're like, what is this testing ground? Da 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 da. And it's like, well, all games have something like this. You can see there's a Pegasus there. If I had to guess, this is, and they allude to this later in there, where they're talking about a friendly match PvP situation where you can actually fight your friends. Spoiler, that's something that's going to be coming to the game that, I think we've mentioned that before kind of loosely, but I know Danny's been screaming about it for a long time. So I'm happy to see that they're going to do something where, it could be a test ground too. Like, hey, let's fight and whatever, and also test some stuff. I want to fight you. I want to see if this works, but like, come at me. So I really like that. This was just them showing some more of the stacking. One of the things that I think they're still missing on, depending how this shakes out, is confusion is striking as a placement on the ground. And unless that's kind of instant, someone might not get confused. I don't know. I'm not as strange, but I know this is one thing that people complain about versus just kind of like a flying and like, it's like MODOK where it just kind of goes out. But again, we'll see how this shakes out given how, all these changes go. White magic was another thing that they adjusted. Essentially, it does more guard damage and it slows guard recovery. So again, we're talking about, piercing through guard damage and all that kind of thing. So this could be something that people go into. We'll see. And then the last thing they talked about a little bit, the dark magic, and this is the one that it has to do with the cooldown. And basically, Alice says, we want to wait to see how this is. We're not going to mess with that too much, and it's just kind of gonna, let's see how it shakes out, and then we'll adjust it if need be. So, and again, quadruple down on it. I think that's a smart move. I know my strange friends might not like hearing me say that, but If you change it too much, I think it could be a problem. You can hear Danny talk about this guard breaking thing right now too, which is I'm happy to hear. Like he obviously understands
the CC
too.
effect can maintain as Doctor Strange attack his enemy, so that's kind of fast too.
Yeah. So
if you think about it, so you don't have to spend time guard breaking instead of just deal new CC. Which is great. That's
not fun.
So they at least get that part. I'm happy to see that they're talking about it, which is, again, that's all I ever ask for with these things is address your actual concerns and try to fix them. You might not do it right. We're human. They're human. They might not miss stuff. Who knows? But at least they're trying to fix it is the way I'm personally choosing to look at it. This is the part where they specifically talk about the cooldown reduction thing. So you can hear it from Alice herself, what they're, kind of discussing here.
Don't worry, don't fret. We'll reduce the cooltime with the future patch. We just wanted to kind of implement these changes and see how it is, but this will be addressed. This cooltime will be reduced. Do not worry. So when she's saying cooltime, she's talking about the cooldown time. I just like the fact that they even bring this up. So the next thing they had in here, PvP damage adjustments. Long and short of this is that one-shots suck. And they also need to balance that with if somebody put a bunch of investment in a character, they don't want that person to, feel like that, they need to incentivize people to pay. Like, so if somebody spent $10,000 in the game or $100,000 in the game or $200,000 in the game, which some people have, you got to be careful, like that investment needs to be worth it to them because those are the type of people who help. Again, games might be free to play, but they're not free to make. So there's always got to be that adjustment or balance between free to play and pay to win, where you're actually getting that person who's paid money, you got to give them some sort of an advantage. What is it? But they recognize that the one-shot dynamics in PvP just suck for everybody. So I'll let you guys listen to exactly what they say here. I see you guys, talk about how PvP numbers need to be balanced. And our main focus is to reduce the gap between the higher and the lower level players. And yeah, that's pretty much what we aim to do with PvP. So we don't see people just getting one-shotted. That's not fun.
So what is the philosophy here? Bridging the gap between like low power player versus high power players. And of course there are skills. Like in order to encourage more skill gameplay, are you nerfing? Are you not nerfing?
And this is the part that's important because, some people might get like freaked out if something's going to get nerfed.
It's not going to be a nerf or
What is
anything. Yeah, we are not looking to nerf anything. We are not going to be taking the fun away from, high level players who worked very hard, but we just want to prevent instant KOs, instant one-shot cases, because we also want the lower level, beginners, newcomers to have fun as well. But this is only applying to PvP content, such as for those who...
You can hear specifically, it's going to be what you expect.
Marvel Future Revolution. It'll be Dimensional Duel, Omega War, Alliance Omega War, Dark Zone, and PvE will remain the same.
Okay, so that's basically it with that. I like this adjustment. Again, one of my themes with this is depending how they implement it. So if they implement it right, I'm good. Is this just going to be like the most damage you can do to somebody is 90% of their HP? So it's a two-hit thing? I don't know. But again, like, what about an ability like guided missiles that hits, 16 different times? How is that going to work? Is it one ability? I don't know. So we'll see how they implement this. I have a feeling, while I really like this, I feel like the first version of it's going to be messed up. I don't think they're going to get it right the first time through because they're going to miss an ability like guided missiles or something that hits a bunch and it's like, oh shoot, we just thought per each poke it wasn't one, and we didn't factor in that some of these abilities were going to be like 16 hits. Or maybe they do. I don't know, but that's just my thought. This was my favorite part of the chart because I play with a ton of Iron Men, and we always debate, it's funny, well, if they're going to do that to Iron Man, then nerf Widow, or, if they take, and I love my buddy Half, and, so I'm always talking to him about where there are, proficiencies and deficiencies in Iron Man's kit. And I'm learning a little bit more because, just talking to him and, even with any of the Iron Men in our alliance, where it's kind of like, well, yeah, but if you take that away, then what am I going to do? So Iron Man is sort of like a guy who's like burst or bust, we'll call it. He's burst or bust, where he needs to burst you down, or he's sort of SOL. And so I still, I'm obviously biased as a Widow, but I still did enjoy that, or got a laugh out of, maybe not enjoyed, but got a laugh out of the fact that 48%, if you can't read the chart, basically it's who's the most, this is a poll of who do you think's the most powerful. 48% said Iron Man, 24 or 23% said Spider-Man, 14 or 15% said Black Widow, and then the other 15% was others. So there's clearly, in the eyes of these people who took this survey, a top 3 as far as who's the strongest in the game. And I think I'd have to agree with that. Captain Marvel would have been on that list before their nerf on her. Widow's still really good. She's still top tier. I think Spider-Man are still pretty solid, especially the ones at the top. We'll see. But the thing I always say to people is, if you're going to re-roll it to a new tune, who's it going to be? And the answer is almost always Iron Man. All right, well, there's your answer. The guy's obviously really good. But again, burst or bust, right? During this as well, Danny actually mentioned specifically fixing the missiles that I talked about. Another part I want to add in here is Danny actually straight up asks, like, what are their plans to sort of address this? Which I like. So let's just hear this.
What are your plans for this top tier characters that is being pursued right now?
So that daunting pie chart, we are very aware of OP heroes such as Iron Man, Black Widow, Spider-Man, but it's a slippery slope balancing those mentioned heroes, because our goal is to balance and not completely destroy heroes.
I like that answer. I'm just going to say that right here. I like that answer. I know it sucks for us sometimes, but I really like that answer.
Because a lot of people have already invested a lot of time, and we don't want to kill off your main character either. So it takes a lot of minor and major tweaks and trouble.
Now, I know all my Captain Marvel friends are sitting here going, what about Captain Marvel? And even my Spider-Man friends who also quit or, left because they were frustrated. I get what you're saying.
Shooting internally. So, for example, there were combat mechanisms that needed rework to create a healthier combat ecosystem, which resulted in, unfortunate nerf cases. But to avoid that type of situation, we're doing what I mentioned with Doctor Strange and Captain America. We're gonna slowly rework one by one and release and get a feel for how you guys are experiencing these new changes. But our goal is to highlight conceptual, conceptual sides of these heroes and their core value.
I like the answer. Again, it's how they sort of implement it. She even addresses the fact that they sort of did this and they understood it was a problem, but they had to look at the holistic ecosystem, as she calls it, and realize, like, for the health of that ecosystem, that these two, I assume she's talking about Captain Marvel and Spider-Man, and even Widow to an extent, they needed to nerf them. And as much as I hated it, I understand where they're coming from. It still sucks because I've lost some friends in the game because of it. But my hope, and this is my general approach and demeanor to the game, is that they're still figuring things out. So I am taking a much more like, look, I love the game. I think it's there. I'm here for the long haul on the game to see if they get it right. You know what I mean? It's like, and so like, that doesn't mean I'm going to spend a bunch of money on rolls. Again, I say this on all my videos, is work within your budget, right? So even though I've got a particular budget for it, I'm just going to go, you know what? You guys need to show me a little bit on where you're at and what's going to be before you get my investment here. One of the things that, I mentioned as well, and that I know at some point Danny talked to, I don't know if I wrote down the time, but he specifically talked about, when, I'll get to it later, actually, around the squad battle. But I put some effort into a Captain America even before this, because I just wanted to see. I'm like, we don't have any Captain Americas in our alliance that are really running Alliance Mega War. And I just, was like, oh, let me see how quick it would be to like build up some, and I was like, this is too much. Like, I'm never going to get this guy built, and so anyway, we'll talk about that more during squad battles.
So you're going to just perform the same concept. Not the number changes, not
Yeah.
not just the stats, right? Which I've been telling guys the last 6
Yeah.
months, right? It's like
Danny talking to him about it a little bit. He's saying it's not just about stats, and you can see they're laughing, and he's mentioning it's what I've been telling you guys for the last 6 months. Like, one of the things I really liked about Danny in this interview, you could tell there was a couple pointed moments where he was kind of letting Alice know, like, guys, like, come on, what are you doing here? Like, all right, I'm curious to see how this is gonna go, or something like that. He's like, this is what I've been telling you for like 6 months. Okay, so this is the part that honestly I was most disappointed with, and I'm gonna take a minute to talk about this. Magic Transmute. Long and short, I'm not gonna play any clips from this. They directly talked about it, and they said it's gonna be available when the next character is released, and they said that's gonna be sometime in the first half of 2022. I don't like this. I don't get it. I think it's going to discourage anybody who's going to want to spend on a new character. It boggles my mind. So, like, I remember we were talking about this last night on Discord voice, just within the Alliance, mainly Half and myself and a couple others. And the discussion was mainly around, like, we all thought that Magic was going to come in and essentially be broken. And she wasn't, and it's actually kind of the opposite end of that, where she's not, you don't see her anywhere. We thought we were going to see Magic everywhere. She's not anywhere. She's not, and anybody, I know Callista, one of the biggest Magic fans out there, actually spent a good amount of money, ended up sort of stepping back from the game a bit, going, you know what, like, I'm still very limited in what I can do with Magic because of Transmute. So, and again, like, I think the reason we thought that she was going to be OP coming out the gate was because that's sort of what sells. Now, I have to admit, I kind of like that they didn't do that completely, because I don't want new characters to constantly get introduced and we do all shift to that new character, because that would sort of stink. But I feel like that's one end of the spectrum, and the other end of the spectrum is like nobody's playing them. I feel like they're closer to the spectrum or the end of the spectrum where it's nobody's really playing it. So there's some, but even like, unless you're like 2 million or something, it's sort of like irrelevant. Like, it's like, oh cool, there's a Magic, great, and hi. And that sort of stinks. So I do think they need to reconsider this Transmute thing a little bit. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know what the right answer is. If I had to guess and I was forced to answer, I would say that, after a month or two max, that you do introduce the Transmute for that character, because you want people to be excited about the character. You want them to be playing it. Now, I could see them if this second character, the second new character that's going to come out in the first half of this year is introduced, and so a lot of people just play them and then just, that's it. I think they're going to see that maybe their approach is wrong here. Even if it's like, I was talking to somebody like a Deadpool or Wolverine, like I'd be stoked for Wolverine. I'm going to level Wolverine to 100 and stop, because it's like, I can't transmute the gear that I've already got up to him, and the cards I can't transmute to him, and it's so hard to get these things right because there's not enough fodder in the game. You can't build stuff up, and again, that kind of goes into the squad battle stuff that we'll get to in a little bit. I just wanted to bring that part up. I think this is a miss on their part, frankly. I don't understand it. If you understand, let me know in the description below. I just don't get it. So I was actually really happy to hear this next point. They talked about characters who run and how they're slow. So Danny talks about this a little bit.
Run on their feet, like Captain America, Black Widow,
Her answer basically says that they're looking into how to fix this soon. That's it. That's simple. I want something. I don't know how they do it. Maybe the sprints are longer. The foot speed people are a little bit longer. Give us jetpacks. I don't know, but it's got to be something. I know that there's a huge disadvantage in PvP too, from ground versus flying, to the point where it's like, there are times where I'm in Omega War where I literally can't I'm like a Widow double jumping trying to get one hit off. It's so ridiculous. And they already lowered the ceiling, which is kind of crazy. Also in this part, and I won't play the audio for it, but they were talking about the untargetable skills. They're basically exploring some sort of like how to fix specializations and disable target off skills, because they understand that maybe what I took from it was they know some characters don't have it, and they want to sort of balance that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce companions or specializations that sort of disable that, or like can still hit a character that's untargetable, or there's no such thing as an invincible with this particular ability. Again, I'm guessing and speculating here, but they basically said they don't want to mess it up. They want to make sure that they fix it through other ways, meaning like, so they don't want to take a target off ability or an iframe ability off the board, but maybe they make another character or a companion be able to hit through it. Now, they didn't say anything about the companion, that's speculation, but I like that they're looking at that. And it was funny because Danny even said he wishes them the best of luck on that. So like, you can tell that he knows it's an issue. It's something they've got to figure out. But I did like that they're trying to get creative with figuring out how to address some of the iframe issues in game or any of the target off abilities. So then they talked about this Pegasus base, which is going to get some new stuff. I'm not going to go through this in detail. It's coming in, I think, tonight, actually. So you're going to get side missions that you can basically AFK level your characters. I like this. I think it's nice. Looks like there's a certain duration that you can go do stuff. You get a ticket for it. You get some XP, you get some gold. Looks like you can get some badges. That's great. They also have the storage function, which, okay, and it's still showing the missions. I think the interface seems nice. I like it. You know, start it, you send them off. Great. And then maybe they're out there doing their thing. You can see you can click a whole bunch of them to do. Hopefully there's a queue for it so that you can have them do a number of missions in a row. Then they have the supply storage. I'm a little confused about exactly how this is going to be implemented. It sounded like it was it's one of the things that you increase things across all heroes. But what I was personally hoping for was a general roster storage, meaning like I have a giant bank in game that I can put my stuff in, and that bank is huge. And that way I don't have to go to this particular character to send it to that character, send it to that character. I just put all my stuff in one spot. And then whatever character I need something for, I might take my character to that one spot and I grab said thing. If they're not doing that, they're missing an opportunity here, and I hope they get that figured out. So then they have the upcoming raid idea. This is the biggest PvE thing coming to the game. My take from this was that, well, one, we don't know how many people. So we need it to be a good amount of your alliance. I think this needs to be up to 15, 20, 25, 30 people from your alliance, at least, to be able to do this. The long and short of it is, they're going to have a situation where there's a bunch of villains in there. You can pick the villain you want to attack, and the more you beat that villain or the villains in there, the stronger they get. I like that part. I like it. Now, it depends what the percent, if there's a ceiling to it, but that's the sort of content we're looking for, where it's like, okay, you know, maybe you can beat Kingpin 2 times, but you can't beat him the 3rd time. So maybe you take, and what I took from it is then you could go to different villains or pick them all. Maybe you switch from Kingpin to Hela, and you can beat her once, and then you go from Hela to, Maestro, and you can beat him 3 times, whatever. Now, I'm cautiously optimistic about this game mode. I really think it's going to be pretty cool. The rewards need to be decent. And I'm pretty excited to see how they kind of implement it. They're still figuring out the name. I hope this comes in sometime in the next 2 months, because I think the game really needs something like this. One of the parts I do want to mention before moving on is the more heroes you have within the squad, the more times you can participate. I wonder if that means, like, so if you have 5 people, you can do things 5 times. If you have 10 people, you can do things 10 times. I actually sort of like that, depending how they implement it. We'll see, but you can see some of the notes here that I just mentioned. All right, so this is a squad battle part. The long and short of what they had in this was that they're still figuring it out. That it's a 1v1, but you can have your squad versus someone else's squad. So it's a dimension duel, but with a bigger squad. Let's call a duck here. Like, this is obviously a way to get more monetization in the game. I do not believe this to be something that we necessarily need in game. I think there's other things that could be focused on. But given that the game, it leans into getting... You don't buy characters in this game, which I like. You buy outfits and cards and draws. That's what you spend money on, and that's what you're trying to get. So this is a way for you to be more interested in getting more of those on more characters. Now, what I'm going to say to this is, it's already too hard to do this on one character. It's very difficult. So I am extremely worried about this game mode. I don't know how they're going to pull it off. And if they make this too important, I think it's going to turn a lot of people away. So they've really got to be careful with this, because if they don't give us more fodder and they make the rewards in squad battle too important, people are just going to quit. They're going to go, I can't compete this is too pay to win. It is like, I can't build up a squad. And I get it. Now there's a small percentage of players in game who have great squads. And I think that's awesome. And I love that they've done that. And I think those type of players should get a reward for something. I don't have an issue with that at all. But the way that it would be, I'd say for over 95% of the player base, is they're not going to be able to compete on that level. And I say this as somebody who's in a higher end alliance. And I say this as somebody who's spent on the game. I think they talk about the ecosystem of the game. Well, this is an ecosystem concept. So they really got to be smart about this, but you can tell by what they're talking about is they're still trying to figure it out. I do want to say that I like that they're talking about it, because a lot of games wouldn't even bring things up when it's in this stage. So they're bringing it up, they're sharing it, saying, hey, this is something we're looking at, we're trying to figure it out. I also like what Danny had to say here as far as the MMORPG. So I'm just gonna let that play.
Well, since this is a action RPG, it's like an MMORPG. It's usually played with one person, and this is like a whole new concept, because
again, Danny gets it.
This is squad, so it's gonna be a whole new experience.
Yeah.
I hope you guys do a survey asking players what they think, whether they should.
So he's specifically saying that he hopes that they do a survey asking players what they think. I really liked that they were even talking about that. He suggested that. He goes on to say, 3v3, 4v4, and I was kind of like, good on you, Danny. I think that's smart. I think that's wise, because I mean, it's what I already said, is that I'm concerned that this is not going to be for a lot of people. And if they tie too many big rewards behind this, people are going to be pretty, they're not going to like the game mode. It's going to fall on its face. All right, so the next part they had was the Epic Invasion rework. We talked about this a little bit before. Long and short of what I got out of this is that they're going to make the badges special badges, and that, and we'll see if they've got some of this in the dev notes and stuff in a separate video. But you can see that Magneto's the enemy we're going to be facing in this one. I speculated Hela, but I actually like more that it's Magneto. He's got a black outfit. The Sentinels look different in the video that they've got. I think that's cool because he's going to be from a different dimension. That it's just sort of this cool situation where you can see, like, he just looks different. Now, again, they talk about the badges didn't make sense in this game mode. I've been screaming, and look at Hulk in there, by the way. You can see Hulk, and you saw Thor, which obviously we got in the dev notes that's addressed there, but it's pretty cool that we saw that. And that was one of the things that, when you were watching this, like, I'm not sure that anybody mentioned in the chats or on the side, but it's like, hey, look who's in there. Hulk and Thor are fighting. So I guess we're getting those companions, right? So that's kind of fun. But the question's going to be is, what are the badges? Are these going to be special badges, kind of like what we got with like special gear? Is that what it's going to be about? Okay, I'd be up for that if it makes sense, right? They got to do it right. What they also recognized was that people weren't playing this game mode very much. Okay, well, we've got to be incentivized to play it, and it's got to be fun. Make something fun. People will do stuff that's fun. Now, at the end of the day, people will need to get a reward for that said thing, so you got to make sure that the rewards are pretty solid in it as well. So they got to be smart about that. The rest of the video they also had in there was they talk about a sneak peek for the single or the friendly match PvP, where they basically say that they're going to introduce something like that in the game. They talk about ruining friendships, blah, blah, blah. I like that. I think it could be a really cool sort of dynamic in there where you can do some testing, some PvP matchups where you're not ruining your Dimension Duel ranking or anything along those lines. So I was happy to see that. It was great to even have that concept up there. So we'll see who, how these things get implemented. A long video, it's a lot to it. I got to edit a whole bunch. I've got an hour worth of footage here. So I got to cut this down, hopefully to 10, 15 minutes. I don't know if I can do it, but we'll see. As far as the gold survey, or not the gold survey, but the gold giveaway, let me know below. Tell me who the new character you want to be as. Say new character equals whoever you think it is. Just do that, and I will pick, say nothing more, new character, XYZ. Obviously pick, it's got to be a Marvel character, and then I will pick 10 random winners from that, and I will share that in a video in a couple days, and I'll just, you'll get some gold tokens, and we'll go from there. And you know what, I want to make sure that I share some of these code giveaways with you guys, and make sure to comment when I do the reward video. Make sure to watch that video, so it's easiest to follow along if you're on the Discord. I know that a couple people missed out on those rewards, and I want to make sure those go out. So comment below. New character equals Wolverine, or whoever you think it is. Appreciate you guys making it this far. I'm going to do a collab with Half on this stuff too, and probably do some videos on the notes. So appreciate you making this long. Hammer down like buttons, notification bell, subscribe, all that sort of thing. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.